Talk Show. Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. Reality TV's church reviews. Let's talk happy love and marriage lifestyle. Come and talk with us. Come and share with us. Come and laugh with us. Come on and pray with us.
Regina Clovis, special guest. You should be following your lead. Bless. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen on podcasts. We live on IG and Facebook. This episode is sponsored by TRIUMPH Ministries.
Well, hello and a good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for coming back to our Money Monday segment here at the Juice Radio and Talk Show with Pastor Tawanna Grant. Listen, I'm so excited to continue the conversation we're having about business, money, management, entrepreneurship, all of that. So you guys go ahead and grab your lunch and come on over and let's quickly learn. Now, today we are talking about retail space versus home offices. Now, a lot of you who are creating those businesses, you need to think for a moment. Do I want to start this out as a home-based business, or do I want to have this as a retail space? We're going to talk a little bit about licensing and cost difference and all of that, all right? So, Pastor Grant, thank you so very much for being here again today. How are you today?
I am fabulous. Happy Monday, everyone. I am just so excited for this new day and the opportunities that we have that are set before us. And so I am excited about all the things that we're going to learn in this next half hour of our lunchtime learning. So Get ready. Tag somebody in, like and share. Make sure that they know that the Juice Radio and Talk Show are on the air for our Money Mondays, and we're going to be sharing some exciting news today, especially for those of you who are considering today on whether you want to launch home-based or to look at a retail location. It's a lot to consider. It's a lot to think about. And so both Regina and I have been there. And so we look forward to sharing the information, of course, that we have already available to us is available to you that's online. We'll be sharing some of the content of that, but also what we've learned from experience. And so you can take that and evaluate whether that fits your situation or not. Everyone's situation is very different. So we encourage you, take the information, pray about it, and allow the Spirit to lead you in what manner you should go. But again, information is power, and it's only the most powerful when we use it. So we want to give you this information so you can apply it to your life, and it'll bless you as you move forward as an entrepreneur. So welcome to Money Mondays.
I'm telling you, you guys come on in the room. I see y'all coming on in the room. Thank y'all for being here. Remember to say hello down in the chat so that we'll give you a shout out and that we know you are contributing to this commentary by sharing the information in the chats as well. All right, you guys, let's talk about all of you who would like to get a business space. You want to start your business. You may be thinking, okay, do I want to start it in the home? Do I want to start in the retail space? Let's talk a little bit, Pastor Grant, about people starting out. Home business. Let's start there. Home locations. Let's start with that.
Home location are crucial to consider. There are a lot of advantages. So I was just doing my sharing right there so I can let others know that we are online right now and they can join us. But home base is one of the good benefits is, one, you have more personal freedom. It's your house. It's your space that you've carved out that you want to leverage, and you have immediate access. Unlike when you have a retail location, we're going to talk about that. There's a lot of steps that you have to go into for that. But when it's your home, you don't have to deal with the traffic. You don't have to deal with other co-located retail operators who might be next to you, right? And so when you're operating from the home base, you have full access and free reign. And so there's personal drive is going to be very key. One of the things we find difficulty, while it is a blessing of being right at home, it makes it very easy, though, not to say I'm not going to get up right now. It makes it very easy to be able to put some things off, but you have to really have a lot of self-discipline, have good time management skills, because when you're right at home, there are also what we call distractions, and distractions are the enemy to progress. There are a lot of distractions when you do that. So those of you who know, like I do, you have to shut that door and you say, I'm at work now. And so when you're able to do that, that freedom is one of the main key advantages of having a home-based business. One, you get to keep the money you make. You don't have to pay rent. Everything that comes into your pocket is for the business. And so you don't have that overhead, that expenditure of a retail location. We'll talk about some of the other expenses that go into that, because there are a lot. You have to have insurance. You have to have a business license to operate in that location. So a lot of those things, in some aspects, you may not have as much to pay because you're working from home. So it doesn't eliminate your legal responsibility. So you have to make sure you do your due diligence, understand what legal binding documents you do have to have for your industry to operate that business at home. But most likely there's going to be a significant difference as far as financially by being at home. So again, the first one, freedom. Freedom, you have access, readily use of the property. And then again, you get to keep the money you make and not have to disperse it for rental space, right? You don't even have to disperse it for gas and for food.
That's a benefit.
Yeah, that's good because you are at home. And so you eliminate a lot of those overhead expenses. The next one I want to say is increased opportunity, because a lot of times when you are operating from home, you have an opportunity to produce more. Because you have a good prospect on what you want to create, what you want to put out there. Because you're in a specific industry, you have promotional opportunities. You have opportunities where others who might go through the ebb and flow of business, sometimes your busy season, sometimes your slow season. Because you're at home, you eliminate a lot of times in your finances seeing that tremendous shift because you don't have those expenses going out. Everything is coming to you for the most part, and you're maybe purchasing your products, right? And you're purchasing and leveraging the services. So those are two key ones. Again, tax advantages. I know we can talk about that, but I just want to say those are some key advantages. You have the access right at home. You have
I love that. I love that too, Pastor Grant, because Pastor Grant, a lot of people think that they can just open a home business and just go for it, and there's no documents they need to record or all that. And a lot of home-based businesses get in trouble by doing that, because there are some documents, some licensing requirements that you do need. Just because it's your home does not mean that you can run any business without getting proper licensing, without filling out proper documents. So make sure that you get this valuable information. And like Pastor Grant touched on real briefly, taxes. When you have a home-based business, when you file your taxes at the end of the year, you're going to talk to your tax preparer and inform them that you have a home-based business. And they will give you what information will benefit you for part of that. I'm not going to say whole write-offs or whole that, because I don't know your county, your state, and all that kind of stuff. But do inform your tax accountant that you have a home-based business as well. I also want to say this key thing, and I'll turn it back over to Pastor Grant. When you have a home-based business, be very careful with giving your address out. You need to protect your address. Protect your address. Now, a lot of people may say, well, I want to meet clients. I want to have meetings. I don't want them to come to my home. What can I do? There are several companies out there and organizations out there that are set up so you can meet your client in their location.
Oh, definitely.
Office space and out. You can rent by hour. You can rent by the day. You can rent by the month, or you can rent by the year. I'll pull that information up, see if I can find it as Pastor Grant continues. But be very careful with your home address out on the social media realm.
Yeah, most definitely. And again, it depends on what type of industry you're in, right? Yeah. Some people are doing personal care. And so if you're doing it, maybe you're doing hair or you're doing nails, and you set up a segmentation of your house, and the service is being provided there. So that's where I like the fact of many homes have a basement where there is a separate entrance. Right? They're not coming through your home, and you have the ability to separate your home life from your business life. That's great, especially if you're doing that kind of service at your home. You want to make sure that it is set apart, and because it is privacy, right? You want to, just what Regina was saying, you want to make sure you're safe, you're secure, and most likely those type of industries, you're not liberally giving it out. Is normally word of mouth. So someone you've serviced before, and then they tell others about your capability. So that's very key. And I like the fact that you brought that out, because if you are doing a service and it is a home base where the people are coming in and you're performing or they're picking up, you want to make sure that you, again, are evaluating how you leverage that space. We talked about for taxes again, much so ensure that you do inform your tax person, your tax accountant, and ensure that they're aware, because a lot of times the space that you use, so even some of your home bills can be evaluated a percentage toward the business, right? The IRS has a very full listing on their website of what is an acceptable business expense for home-based businesses. So you want to make sure you take advantage of that. Because that's very helpful. Sometimes it's even a portion of the mortgage, portion of your property tax, portion of your insurance, utilities, all of these type of household maintenance, even sometimes the renovation that you have to do for your business. Those things are expenses that you can drive toward the business operation. So make sure, again, that you are evaluating that. And so here, Regina has put up on the screen some of the places that you can rent. They are readily available. And so that's good too. If you're in a business where you are maybe consulting and you don't have available a set aside place where someone could come without introducing them into your home, you want to look at some of these very nice and in many cases affordable locations that we just mentioned. Gives you the opportunity to have a front of the house where you can meet some of your potential or current clients. One of them is the office space your way. So Regions, there are a lot of them even in the variety of areas of the city. There are a lot of places where you can rent a spot, which is what I love what you were saying. So go ahead, Regina, on this one.
Yes, now this is the location. Now this is a company called Regus, and Regus. And what Regus does is they have office spaces, various different sizes, all over the world. All over the world. Now, what they do is they have buildings and they turn them into meet and greet spaces. They have their Wi-Fi set up. So if you want to go there, you don't have to worry about trying to have your own Wi-Fi. They have access to Wi-Fi. They have telephone access. They have small meeting places, large meeting spaces. You can go there and they have everything set up. They also offer secretaries that are there to assist your clients when they come in. So it is a really great place. I use Regus a lot with meeting a lot of clients, especially if my office location is too far for them to travel. I would just pull up my Regus app and go in there and set up a location to meet, and our clients can meet at that location. It is a very, very good tool to have for those of you who are just starting out. The prices are flexible. You just give them a call, or you can go online to the site that I have here and just make sure that you talk to them and see what specials they might have, because sometimes they run specials for you as well. But again, they are so professional. They have the furniture already set up for you. They have the desk space already set up. It's just like you walk into a prepared office space already. Now, some of you may say, I don't need an office space. I don't need a desk space. I just need a chair and a table that I can sit down and talk to somebody. Regus has stuff like that as well. They have the smaller places. You can just group sharing spaces where they have like a long table and anyone can come that's on their calendar that has scheduled an appointment. You can schedule something online and they will, they're very flexible. So go ahead and check them out as well if you want to have your meetup spaces, and it works for large or small meetings as well. It's very good. And they have conference rooms as well that you can meet. Very, very professional. When your clients see you coming into one of these Regus locations, they're going to say, this is a professional business. So check them out.
Yeah, and they'll appreciate that too, especially depending on the type of business you have. There's a look that people expect. There is a level of professionalism that people are looking for, especially in certain types of businesses, that in order to open up your influence span, you need to be able to do some things like this. You need to think outside of the box, especially if you want to go to the next level. There's another place we've leveraged before called WeWork. And so again, it's another one where you can rent out some rental spaces so that, again, you have an opportunity to meet your clients in a office setting that gives that more professional display. I know many of us, like myself, way back when we met at Starbucks, And that might still be the case depending on, again, your industry. A lot of times people are working in construction. Maybe you're building out buildings, or it looks different for your lane, right? What does your clients expect? What are they looking for? Because you want to be able to meet the demands, right? You want to be able to open up the window for opportunity, and you don't want your location to hinder you from doing that, especially when there's so much available to you that you can find an ideal workspace, and that you don't have to have the overhead of a long-term lease, or you don't have to have the overhead of a lot of expense to do it. You can, again, rent it by the day or by the hour, depending on where you and your client need to meet. So even if you do have a home base and you have office space there might be an opportunity where you might want to do something like this. Maybe you want to do a seminar. Maybe you want to meet with a larger group. Maybe you want to use your time in a bigger way. Consider this, right? And that's what we're trying to do. Again, give you options, give you information, so that even as you evaluate where you're going in your business, these things are in your hip pocket. You have something to pivot to if you need to be able to leverage a bigger space.
Yes, and that's a beautiful site. We work as well. So you guys check that out. Also, I would like to add very briefly, and then we'll go on over to the retail space conversation. I'd like to add very briefly on the home offices. If you want to have mailing done and you don't want your home address to be part of your mailing, you have a home-based business, but you don't want your address to be on your literature and stuff like that, you may want to look into the P.O. Box locations, or the UPS stores are great locations to have your mail to go to, and use that address for your mailing address. The UPS stores I use, and they're very good because they actually have live people that are there that can collect your mail for you, place them in your box locations. And so you have that person-to-person contact with your mail as well. They will receive packages for you. And it's really a great source to help you with maintaining those address protections. So I love stuff like that, or a nice or a nice P.O. Box location. Great to use as well. So I love it. But remember, just because you have a home business does not mean that you do not need the license requirements, because they're still, listen, county, government, city, state, one of them is going to want to get some finances,
right? And they want to be assured that you're operating in good faith, right? You want to have, just like we talked about, having your tax ID and having your chartered out there so that you get a true business license. You want to make sure that if there are other specified licensing or awareness that you need to give, that you do that, because the last thing you want to do is open and then be shut down. The last thing you want to do is have it where you can't continue to operate, because they will. They'll close you down. Some businesses you can't even operate because of zoning in your house. Is your home zoned to be able to do that type of activity? And so those are the kind of things that you have to do your due diligence. And we just recently went through something similar for another business we were doing, but we had to go through the zoning process, and we had to go before the Board of Commission. We had to send out letters to the community, and we had to have community meetings, a couple of them, to make sure that, one, they were aware, two, to address any questions or concerns that we had. So depending on the type of business you have, it might require that you go through those types of processes. So you don't want to eliminate that. It's best. You can't fix what you won't face. So it's best to face it.
That's right. Face it. And the organizations and the tax, the city, the state, and the county, and all of the and HOAs, they want to make sure that businesses are operating properly. So they are actually out there to really protect the individuals, the purchasers, consumers as well. And I love that you said that, Pastor Grant, about the situation that you had, because a lot of people think that because they're in an HOA community, they can do anything. Now, let me tell you, when you're in an HOA, that they can do certain things. When you're in an HOA community, you may have even more restrictions or guidelines that you have to go by, because you do not want to get in trouble with the board of the HOA. So again, if you're living in an HOA community, you have one step further that you have to do, and that's have that conversation with that HOA, as well as to get information. Can I run a business from my home? All right. Hey, Joseph, thank you for being here. He says, good afternoon, beautiful people. Now, Pastor Grant, let's talk real quick about the retail space. Oh man,
Sure.
this is
So
really
yeah, so when you're thinking about retail space, you definitely want to evaluate what type of business you're in. Do you need that constant or consistent client flow? Because that's a lot of times why you do move out into a retail location is because I need people to see me. I need people to know what I have. I need them in some products. I need them to be able to touch and feel it. It's difficult sometimes for people to purchase something when you're net new and they have no way of other than the presentation of the picture. They want to be able to touch and feel, and you also want the flow, the demand that you can get from a retail that you cannot or is more difficult to get from a home base. So you want to evaluate that. So a customer rapport is one of the things. Having an opportunity for greater sales. That's really the only reason why we're going into business is to make money, right? So if you're going into business to make money, then the only reason you're going to launch out into a retail location where you need to have expenses overhead is because I have a greater chance of making more money, better potential if I'm at a location. A brick and mortar is what is necessary for this type of business in order for it to flourish and flow, right? And that's one of the reasons why brick and mortar, you have restaurants, because people have to come there and eat, or people have to come there and pick it up. More than likely, they're less adverse to come to retail to get food than they are to drive to your home. So there are some things that people are more less adverse. If you're in retail, they'll want to come, they'll want to shop there, they'll want to pick up your service or your product. They'll want to leverage that opportunity because I see you now. And so even if you have a service, some services are more beneficial to have a front store, to be out where people can see you. And especially when you do your demographics and you do your research and you identify that that type of business is missing in that area, that you have just now set yourself apart from everybody else and giving yourself an opportunity to create a high demand. So really you want to evaluate when you're thinking about going out to retail, does the numbers work? Do the numbers fit?
That's very important.
Yeah, does this prompt me to push out to get retail? A lot of times, even if you start at home and you see, oh, this is a good flow, this is a good flow. And then you might, as your level 2, your next evolution, you want to say, hey, am I getting enough that if I launched out, I would double, I would triple, I would increase my potential for sales. And so that's really what you're looking at when you're deciding to go out into retail. Does the numbers make sense?
Absolutely.
Or can we do this and still make a good profit margin? Because again, we're always talking about you want to live in the gap. And for a business, it's between what you take in and what you pay out. You want a big gap. And so if you know the market demand will support a retail location, then that's where you're looking at. That's really, to me, your first launch is looking at the numbers.
Yes.
And will it give you that potential for greater sales?
Yes. And make sure when you're going out looking for this retail space, we oftentimes get very excited about our business moving out from the home base into the retail arena. But let me tell you, before you sign that lease on that space, because let me tell you, a lot of the agents that are listing these properties will not do the due diligence to find out what type of businesses are allowed in the location. That really is dependent upon you, the tenant. Now, you're going to have to go to the county or the city and make sure that before you sign the lease, that you are able to have your business at that location. Now, you can talk with your landlord or the landlord of the retail space, and you can ask them to give you a document that says it's your decision is dependent upon the county approving you to be in that location. So that way you have a little leverage to hold on to the space in case the county does approve it and the space won't go to another tenant. But please do not sign these leases until you speak with the proper channels, the county, the city, the state, to find out the ordinances to make sure that you're allowed to have your business in that location. Because I went through a situation, which we'll talk about on another show, and you do not want to go through that part. So make sure and check.
No, that is good information. Again, when you're going to be seeking your business license, you will be identifying where will it be housed, where are you going to be located. And part of that evaluation is the city is going to tell you whether or not your business can function in that location. So that, again, is why we're saying it's so important to make sure you do your paperwork. And I love what you said, Regina. Sometimes we get so excited. We're just ready to launch out into the deep. And that's great because you're going to need that wind. You're going to need that wind to keep you going. You're going to need it to be able to press in and move through the process, because sometimes the process is slow. Sometimes the process is lengthy. Sometimes the process will cause you to step back one to get another paper from this area to go with the paper to go to the next group. I even had, we were doing one of our businesses, we were talking to two different people and they were cross.
I tell you, okay, so yes, all right, so Pastor Grant, maybe she needs to go back out and come back in. There you go.
Okay, good. I'm back in. Okay, good.
Yes,
but because they were in different divisions, it was causing a lot of consternation. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so be prepared for that. Don't be in a hurry. The Bible talks about don't be anxious for nothing, but everything through prayer and with thanksgiving, make our requests made known. So don't be in a hurry. And I love what my godfather said, Bishop Coe. He told me, if anybody's trying to make you do something right now today, most likely you need to leave it alone, because you want to have time to think about it. You want to have time to think about it, think it through, assess it, process it, and so that you make a good, wise decision. So that's what we're talking about today, whether you should stay home-based or retail. The money should be telling you the demand, the potential demand of sales should be telling you whether you should be taking on the undergirt and the overhead of a retail business. That's what should be driving you. My business is so hot right now, or what I'm going into demands that it be at a retail location in order to be able to operate. I can't do it in a home-based business. It's necessary that I do it at this capacity. Or maybe even sometimes people I know, several people who started off with a home-based childcare, and then they tap out because you can only do home-based to a certain number. So maybe where you are now, you're tapping out. And so now you're having to make the decision to pursue and go further. Pursue and launch out further. And so this is where you're thinking about what Regina was saying, finding the location, making sure that it is feasible and lawful for you to operate that type of business there. Make sure it meets the demand, that you have the right environment. Sometimes you can't even put a business next to certain things.
That's right.
Depending on what you're going to do. And so you have to be aware of that too. You might want to have it in that spot and it looks great, but it might be next to something where you can't operate that type of business next to it. So all of those kind of demographics make a difference. And so we're just encouraging you today with wise wisdom information so that you can continue to evaluate on your journey toward launching out, whether it's home-based or retail location, you can be successful. We're just saying, do your due diligence so that you can prevent some of the redos or missteps, and you can go out and be successful in your initial launch. We want you to be successful.
We want you to be successful. And listen, you guys, it's a journey out there, but it can be a good journey. And you can avoid a lot of the pitfalls that we did by listening to our past shows on here on the channel here, and listening to today's show and our future shows as we guide you on that journey of being a business owner, having entrepreneurship. And listen, get the guidance that you need right here. And if there's anything that we missed or you did not hear us discuss and you'd like to hear us discuss, go ahead and put it in the chat or send us a quick email at our email over here, the Juice Radio and Talk Show at gmail.com. Go ahead and share your information, stories you like to hear, or maybe some thoughts on how, your process has been with your business. But go ahead and share the information with us. But you guys, we want you all to be successful. Successful at your business venture. And we want your businesses to grow. And by doing that, we have this platform here. Pastor Grant, I thank you so very much for sharing this valuable information with us. You all can follow Pastor Grant. Her information is in the description at My Father's House Pentecostal Church. Wonderful ministry out there in Riverdale, Georgia. All the information is there. You can also follow her on Facebook as well. Share this information, share this channel. And Pastor Grant, thank you so very much for sharing your time again on our fabulous show here, Money Mondays. will people come and grab their lunch and learn? Pastor Grant, quick closing thoughts before we head out.
I just want to say, take your time in evaluating. Make sure you do your numbers. And then make sure you look at some of the checklists we just mentioned. You can go on the IRS where they talk about some of the benefits of being a home base that you can leverage for your taxes. And then also going on to the Small Business Association website, you can see information about getting a retail location, how they can help give you some advice and some wisdom in that area too. No, you can do it, and you don't have to do it alone. We want to encourage you today to go out and make today great. Go out and win.
I love it. All right, you guys, that's it for today's Money Monday. We'll be back next week, Monday at 12 noon for another segment of Money Monday, where we're giving you financial tips for free so that your business can have the freedom it needs to grow and grow properly. Thank y'all for joining us today. We'll be back with another segment next week. Y'all have a blessed day. We love y'all. On the count of three, Pastor Grant. 1, 2, 3. Goodbye, y'all.
A heartfelt thank you to all of our subscribers who joined us for this video. If you have not already subscribed, go to our YouTube channel, The Juice Radio and Talk Show. Subscribe and click on the notification bell to be alerted whenever we go live. Join our private Juice community. Go to www.thejuicecommunity.com and sign up for free. Join us, The Juice Radio and Talk Show. We have our Money Monday financial series. It is a lunch and learn program at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on Mondays. Also on Monday, we have our reality series and hot topics at 7 p.m. Wednesdays, we have Bible study at 7:30 p.m. Thursdays, we have church news at 7:30 p.m. We also offer motivational moments, happy marriage lifestyle, news from a godly perspective, movie reviews, as well as our single moms club, Let's Talk Ex-Millennials, and of course, our Cooking with Clovis. Follow us on our podcast channel, The Juice Radio and Talk Show Podcast, streaming on all podcast platforms. A great big thank you to our podcast production company, Noye Podcast Productions. They can help you create your own podcast also. Contact them today at houseofnoye.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Custom Apparel Shop. Have them complete your embroidery work and silk screening needs. Do you need a logo created for your fashion apparel or company? Contact Israel Mason today. That is 786-657-7501. Thank you to our main sponsor, Truth and Triumph Ministries. Truth and Triumph Ministries, a ministry that cares about telling people the truth so they can triumph in life. Thank you, Truth and Triumph Ministries, for all you do.